boys.
Hi guys, for the final time of the season we'll start with the broadcast section with no embargo, followed by an embargoed section for 10:30pm tonight. No live tweeting during the broadcast section, use the microphone provided. Paul.
Beautiful words, final time this year. Music to my ears. Go on, mate.
Ange, congratulations on this week.
Thank you.
After the celebrations witnessed yesterday, will you be able to field the team against Brighton?
No, we'll field the team. Look, as I've got older and I used to be a bit different, but I really feel you need to celebrate your achievements properly, and that was kind of my message to the boys, that it's really important, because it's important for them, because they've ones that have achieved it and they've done it in a very difficult way. It's important for the people around them, because then they can relax and enjoy it as well. And it's important to make the experience as memorable as possible, so that when I ask them to climb the mountain again, there's a reason for it, and fair to say they took my words literally, and certainly enjoyed themselves over the last couple of days. And like all parties, there's always one family member that embarrasses you, and you want to keep control of. But fair to say we had a couple of those. But again, doesn't make them bad people, and they're probably the first ones you re-invite to the next party. So boys are all good. We'll be good tomorrow.
Any insight into those moments?
No, I mean, I sort of stayed wide away from it, but I just love seeing the boys. Like I said, it's important the boys celebrate. Look, we've been through a lot, and it's part of sort of how I think you create this kind of winning mentality and bond, because, like I said, I'm sure when they reflect, they'll obviously reflect on the game and the feelings afterwards, but even the aftermath of that, the last 48 hours, and the parade yesterday was just unbelievable. All those things I think are important.
The best TV series usually bring out a trailer. What can Spurs fans expect from season 3?
Not sure. I should have thought about it a bit more, because as somebody rightly pointed out, sometimes they kill off the main character, so I could be in strife there. Look, I said sort of even before the game that I really believe we're just building something, but a significant win accelerates that, and I really believe that's the case. And I'm not going to put a limit on what we can achieve, but I certainly believe that it's exciting, the possibilities of next year, knowing I've got a group of players now and staff and a club that knows what it takes to win, and wants more of it.
Look, trophy, Champions League football, fan and player connection looking very strong. What has Daniel Levy said to you about being the main character next season? Can you now confirm you will be the main character next season?
No, look, I haven't had any discussions. Similar to before the game, I haven't had any discussions with the club. Like I said before the game, maybe they were just waiting for sort of clear air to kind of give me some guidance, but I haven't heard anything from the club.
Is there still a chance either scenario happens? Because it now does it not feel almost that would be a hugely brave call?
I haven't given it, I haven't given a lot of thought. As I said, I just refuse to be distracted by anything in terms of the opportunity that was before us, and since the game, I just wanted to take the opportunity also to enjoy that as well. So haven't thought about it. I assume at some point somebody will tell me something, or if not, I'm just going to roll up next year, and it'll be a bit like Costanza from Seinfeld. I'll just sit in the desk and just get on with my job.
Charlie.
Ange, congratulations on the Europa League win, firstly.
Yeah, thank you.
How would you sum up, from your point of view, how the last couple of days has been? If you could sum it up in one word, what word would you use?
Yeah, hard to sort of pin down, because you go through all the sort of range of emotions. I think just tremendous pride more than anything else, because it's fair to say we've had a real tough time this year, and I've said it quite a few times, that could have made my position really, really difficult, more difficult than people even may imagine, because I could have felt very sort of isolated. But the fact that this group of players and the staff that I work closely with just stayed true and still believed in me. Just tremendous pride to see that then come to fruition in something so special, you know. And that's why I just love sitting back and watching, you know, the players, the staff, our supporters, all just, you know, rejoicing. Like I said, you obviously you take on a great responsibility when you take over, you know, as a manager of any football club. There's a lot resting on your shoulders, and I can tell you, every manager, whoever sort of is fortunate enough to win something, he'll tell you the first feeling you have more than anything else is just relief. You know, relief that, you know, all the burden you've carried has been rewarded.
The Europa League win does make up for the form in the league. Have you had a sense from the players going into this final game of the season that they don't want to finish in 17th, because you can still finish above West Ham and Manchester United?
Yeah, look, it's not through the lack of will or trying, but, you know, as I said, it hasn't been easy because, you know, I'm making 7 or 8 changes every game. You know, guys don't have a rhythm. There's no connections, and, you know, we've suffered. But in withstanding that, we should have been better. So look, tomorrow is about, you know, we know the fans are going to come to the ground, you know, continuing to celebrate. We still want to make it a good day for them. We want to perform well. We want to make sure that, you know, we finish the season off strong. And, you know we need to address our league form. I still believe it's where we are is not a true reflection of, you know, who we are as a team. But within that context, we still need to be better, and that's what we'll try and do tomorrow.
And how are the players like in training today? I mean, did you get a sense from them in training today that they are desperate to be on the pitch tomorrow, to be in front of the fans one last time this season?
Some of them had to push a few out there, but I think by the end of training, I think they're all keen to get back out there and perform well. There will be a couple of absences. I'm sure you should have mentioned that, but Romero, he's been struggling with his toe for quite a while, so we'll leave him out, and probably Sonny as well, because his foot's still not healed. I mean, they both sort of made a massive effort to get to the final. Bissouma got a knock in the game, so he's kind of 50-50 at the moment, but the rest of them, physically anyway, are okay.
Hi Ange, congratulations. The scenes from the victory parade yesterday were incredible. You must feel for Deki missing out on yesterday, given the big role he's played this season.
Yeah, there's always those kind of stories whenever it happens. I would have loved Deki to be there because, like you said, he was a big part of our season. Big part of sort of, you know, even what we did in, you know, played such a crucial role for us in Bodo away just to get to the final. So, I would have loved for him to experience that. But what it does do, I know, is, you know, it'll fuel him even more. He'll be even more determined that next time he's going to be there, and that's only going to be a good thing for us.
You've mentioned numerous times this season the bond the players share. What does winning a European title do to that bond? Because now they're linked together forever.
It does. It is significant. They are forever connected now, you know, irrespective of sort of what their futures hold. They're always going to be connected. They'll always have the night in Bilbao. They'll always be the ones that broke the drought, and hopefully there isn't another drought like it, and they'll always be remembered for that. But I think it does bring them closer, which again, further I was saying before, that's how you create a winning culture, because I'm sure they want to experience it again together as a group. You know, they want to have another moment. They want to have another night like Bilbao. They want to lift another trophy. They want to have another parade. They probably want to go out again. All those kind of things. I think it does unite them to an even greater extent.
Yep. It's the last game of Matisse Tell's loan deal tomorrow. Do you want to keep him at the club next season? Yeah,
look, I guess they're the kind of discussions that we start to need to have. But again, without myself gate-crashing meetings, I need to be invited to them. But we'll assess all those things. Look, Matty's done really well for us. We put him in a real difficult position in that, as a young player who hadn't played a lot, probably wasn't fit enough, we just threw him straight in. But he's handled it really well. And I think he's been a really important contributor for us. And he'll definitely play tomorrow at some point, whether he starts or come off the bench. And I'm sure the decisions we'll kind of look into post-season.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Move on to the Embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. That's fine.
What does an Ange Postecoglou holiday look like? What's the thing you're most looking forward to doing?
Just family time and finding some quiet spot. Just that's got some water and some sun lounge and not too much movement will do me. Just mainly family time and just, like I said, time to reflect, not just for myself, but, for my wife and my kids. Just pretty chilled and laid back. And, it's one of those things where you probably don't realise till you stop how tired you are, physically and emotionally. And I'm sure that'll hit me Monday morning.
You said that the support you had from the players in particular made what was a tough situation stopped it being even worse than we could imagine. But were there any times in the season where you thought, I think I might have had enough of this, and if so, who or what sort of brought you back from that way of thinking?
No, I'm not wired that way. I mean, it's fair to say, and I've said it I love a challenge. So the harder it gets, But there were times this year when I thought, well, how many more challenges, particularly with our injury situation? I mean, it just seemed to be never ending, and the start of the year was a lot of sort of muscle injuries, and we were kind of trying to get on top of that and improve our processes. I thought we did that, and then all of a sudden we get guys, doing knees and ankles and all kinds of things, and I just felt, will this ever stop? Will this challenge get any greater than what it already has been? Because I've always felt that, at some point, if you get through the tough stuff, you hit some calmer waters, and it's all for a purpose and a reason. But there were just times, even right up to the final, when we lost, Deki after losing Matters and Lucas, I just thought, when will this end? But within that, I never felt like, this is just too much. Like I said, it's not how I'm built, and there was never any moment. I've said to a few people, even in the most lowest of times, I still had this thing inside me. We were going to do something special this year. I just really believed it, and you can ask, the guys in there that every time we got hit with a sort of roadblock, the one thing I kept saying to them, it's just going to make the story better. So, and it has.
Just in purely practical terms, when you're going off on holiday on Monday, doesn't leave a lot of time to have any talks with the club. If things aren't resolved, will you be able to relax on that Sunday or by the water?
Oh yeah, oh don't worry about that. I'm good at relaxing, mate. Come Monday, I won't have a care in the world. But I assume I'll have an indication at some point. Only because there's some serious planning to do more than anything else. But I won't have any problem switching off.
George?
Yesterday was enjoyed by so many fans. You obviously knew you were a manager of a big club, but when you see occasions like that, does it kind of reaffirming, kind of feel like you've awoken a sleeping giant? I was overwhelmed by kind of just the sea of people, and like I said before, just every demographic you could think of, and there was grown men crying, women just sort of, girls and boys, everyone just so ecstatic. You just feel like, irrespective of what is happening in their lives at the moment, they all just were so joyous. And like I said, when you see the sheer magnitude of the numbers, you just realise that, it's a massive club. And, I had a sense of that before I joined, but I guess even for the club itself, it just reaffirms that, that missing piece of success, what it can do in terms of, galvanising a supporter base and really showing, the size of the club. And it's fair to say it's a massive club, and the opportunity now is to make it bigger than ever. And you said yourself, you want season 3, and you kind of alluded, I guess, in recent months about kind of lessons learned from this season. What will you take into next season that kind of this season maybe got a lot?
Yeah, look, you learn from every season. Like I said, I think looking back at our pre-season last year, I don't think it was ideal, and there were certain things that we need to do differently, and certainly design differently for the coming year. How we kind of get our guys ready for for what's going to be the biggest challenge of Premier League and Champions League football. We know it's a massive challenge. So, how we prepare our players. I think our players will be better equipped. We started the season. I mean, people forget we signed Dom, who's been unbelievable for us. But then we signed 3 teenagers. They weren't ready for what was ahead. They've been unbelievable. Obviously Wilson's missed a lot of the season, but Lucas and Archie, unbelievable. We signed 3 teenagers. Now, next year, the start of next year, they're not going to be teenagers. They're more than ready, so we'll be in a better space straight away. And I think, that's the other lesson learned, is that we can't, I don't think anyway, that would be my sort of direction, is you need to now bring in some experience for this group, right, in terms of our recruiting. So that changes as well. You learn some lessons from that as well. But, I think I said all along, I still felt there's been growth this year, and we'll be much better placed at the beginning of next year to tackle what's ahead than we were at the start of this one.
And as you pointed out to me today, by some very happy Spurs fan and excited Spurs fan, is the Champions League final for next season in Budapest and Puskás Arena. So are they allowed to dream about that?
Yeah, dream on. Yeah, why not? Why not? That's the beauty of football. You've got to dream.
Elias.
I suppose perhaps not for you as you've kind of done it throughout your career, but I suppose this club for 10 or 15 years has been caught in this kind of debate on whether is it top 4, top 5, is it winning trophies, kind of where does this club sit, what should they prioritise? Was that kind of experience yesterday of going through that sea of fans helped to reaffirm the players, the club, the fans of what winning the trophy really means?
Yeah, I'm not sure they've had any other parades for finishing 3rd or 4th or 2nd. Or I've always believed winning trophies is what football clubs are about, because that's what you remember. That's what football careers are about. I've said to players, at the end of your career, the most common question you get asked is, did you play for your country and did you win anything? And then maybe people might say, well, what was the individual? You score goals, you win trophy, like individual trophies, how much money did you make, all that. But if you can say yes to those 2 key questions, I played for my country and I won things, then your career all of a sudden is much more validated. And it's the same for football clubs, I believe. What you put in your sort of museums and up on your walls are trophies. Now, against the backdrop of that, this club has to obviously finish, in high positions and be challenging for Premier League honours for sure. And there's the financial implications with not being in Europe. I get all that. But to me, what defines a club is always what it's won. And I think yesterday is, credit to the club who has had a lot of success compared to other clubs. It just hasn't happened in recent times.
Have you kind of let you've given yourself a moment to think about the journey that you've been on throughout your career over the past kind of 2 or 3 days, from Australia all the way up to now, and all the influences that you've had along the way, where you found yourself yesterday, as I say, in front of that sea of kind of people. Have you given yourself that moment yet?
No. And, I don't know, I've always done that my sort of whole career. I have, unless I sort of get drawn into it when people start talking to me about it, I don't think about it a lot. I think that when I get to the end of my career, I'll kind of have more time to understand how I ended up in this place from where I started. But I tend to sort of just leave the moments in sort of perfect periods of time. It's like I'll never rewatch Bilbao. I've never rewatched any significant game I've won in my career, because if I do, I'll start picking holes into the performance, and I don't want to do that. It's a perfect memory for me. I don't care. People want to say we didn't play well. It doesn't bother me. For me, that night will stay in my memory forever as a perfect night. And then I kind of leave that, in its rightful place and move on to what the next thing is. But at some point. If you chart the course of my last sort of 26 years and beyond from where I started, it's fair to say it's a pretty rare sort of journey I've been on, and feel pretty lucky to have been on it.
And the goal scorer on the night, Brennan Johnson, he's had a kind of difficult journey this season, from earlier on in the season, deactivating his social media accounts and stuff, and to where he came, obviously, in the final. Kind of, if you can, just kind of put into context, like, what his contribution means to the club, to himself, I suppose, like, being able to deliver such a huge occasion.
Yeah, and Brennan's kind of indicative of what I've been trying to build here. Is about people of character, people of resilience, and like you said, he hasn't had it easy, but it's been surprising to me because actually his contribution's been significant from the time we signed him. I mean, you stack up his record since he's been here to any other winger, apart from Mo, who's a freak. And Brennan stands up, goals, assists. I mean, and that's what you need from attacking players, and not just in any games, in big games as well. And it's a credit to him. And again, fair to say he was one of the ones that's enjoyed himself the last couple of days, but rightly so. And I'm hoping that him doing that on such a big stage, that's just he comes back next year with as a mentality monster of I know what it takes to win, and this is what I want again, and that feeds on to everyone else. I mean, that's hope. What you hope Wednesday night creates is that all these guys have got a taste of it now, and want more of it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.